Hello anime fans, this is your friend Naruto Lore Vault. And we are back with a new fanfic. Today's fanfic is super exciting. Which is what if Naruto was born as the reincarnation of the Sage of Six Paths himself? Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for next part. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. So without wasting any more time, let's jump straight into the fanfic. The night hung heavy over the Hidden Leaf Village, a night that would be remembered for centuries to come. The wind carried a strange stillness, the kind that comes before a storm. Even the forest seemed to hold its breath. In the Hokage residence, the last candle flickered, fighting the darkness that crept closer with every second. Far away, in the shadow of the mountains, an ancient power stirred, wrathful, immense, unstoppable. The nine-tailed fox, Kurama, had broken free. The ground quaked beneath its roar. Trees shattered like glass, mountains cracked under its fury. The beast's eyes glowed with malevolent crimson light, reflecting pure destruction. In the heart of the village, panic spread like wildfire. Families fled through the streets, carrying children, shouting names lost in the chaos. Smoke curled toward the sky, mixing with thunderclouds. And then, light. A single golden flash tore through the darkness. The fourth Hokage had arrived. Minato Namikaze landed on a rooftop, his cloak bearing the flames of the Hokage crest. His eyes took in the devastation, the enormous tails crashing against the ground, leveling everything in their path. He clenched his fists. This monster, it's too powerful. If I don't stop it now, everything will be gone. He formed seals faster than the eye could follow and vanished in a blur, teleporting directly before the nine tails. Kurama turned, roaring. The air itself seemed to split. Minato extended his hand, summoning the Rasengan, its spiraling light defying the storm. It collided with Kurama's claw, shaking the earth. The Hokage's face was grim. He knew he could only buy a few moments. Far away, in a hidden shelter, Kushina Uzumaki lay on a futon, her red hair damp with sweat. Beside her, a small baby cried softly, unaware of the chaos outside. Naruto, she whispered. Her voice trembled but her eyes shone with love. Our little Naruto. The door slid open. Minato appeared, breathing heavily, his clothes torn, his chakra fading. Minato. Kushina cried. The seal. Kurama's free. He nodded, his expression grave. I know. There's no other choice left. Kushina understood immediately. Her hand tightened around the blanket wrapped around the baby. You're going to use that jutsu, aren't you? Minato looked away for a moment, then back at her. It's the only way to save the village, and him. Tears welled in her eyes, but she smiled through them. Then let me help you. If we must die, we'll do it together. They stood side by side, the child between them, as the roars outside grew closer. The walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Kurama's massive form loomed in the distance, visible even through the shattered windows. Minato's fingers blurred through hand seals. Seal of the Reaper Death Jutsu. A ghostly figure appeared behind him, tall, skeletal, draped in tattered robes. Its cold presence filled the air, draining the warmth from the room. Kushina gasped as the Reaper's hands extended, reaching through Minato toward Kurama's chakra. The beast screamed. The seal began to form. But the process demanded life in exchange. Minato's skin grew pale, his energy fading rapidly. Minato. Kushina cried. You'll die. He smiled faintly. A Hokage's duty is to protect his people. He turned his gaze to his son. And a father's duty is to protect his child. Kushina stepped forward, adding her own chakra to the seal. Kurama thrashed, sensing what was happening. With a final roar, its chakra was drawn into the baby's tiny body, forming a glowing symbol on his abdomen. Naruto's cries echoed through the room, pure and innocent. Minato fell to one knee. It's done. Kushina collapsed beside him. Her hands trembled as she touched the baby's face. He's so warm. Minato smiled weakly. He'll carry both our hopes and our love. She looked at him, her vision blurring. Promise me he won't be alone. Minato reached out, brushing her hair back gently. I promise. Their hands met. Their eyes closed. The storm outside slowly calmed. When the dawn finally came, the village lay in ruins, but it still stood. The Hokage monument watched silently as the first rays of sunlight touched the broken rooftops. And in a quiet room, a newborn boy slept peacefully, unaware of the destiny sealed within him. Years passed. The boy grew amid whispers and shadows. People avoided him in the streets, mothers pulled their children away. That's him, they whispered. The demon boy. Naruto didn't understand. He smiled anyway, pretending not to hear. But every laugh he forced was heavier than the last. He spent his days pulling pranks, painting the Hokage monument, shouting at the top of his lungs that one day he'd be Hokage himself. The villagers saw only mischief, they never saw the loneliness that followed him home. At night, in his small apartment, he ate instant noodles alone. He stared at the stars through the cracked window and whispered to the sky, "Why doesn't anyone see me?" Sometimes he dreamed of a woman with red hair who smiled at him gently. Sometimes of a man whose eyes were filled with pride. But when he woke, the dreams vanished, leaving only emptiness. Iruka-sensei was the first person who saw something different in him. He yelled at Naruto often, scolded him for being late or for failing exams, yet there was warmth in his words. One day, after class, Iruka found him sitting alone on the swing outside the academy. The other kids played in groups, laughing. Naruto just watched, silently. Iruka sat beside him. You know, Naruto, you remind me of myself when I was your age. Naruto looked up. Really? Iruka smiled. Yeah, lonely, loud, and stubborn. Naruto grinned faintly. Then maybe I'll be like you someday. Iruka laughed softly. No, Naruto. You'll be much greater. Those words stayed with him for years. As Naruto grew older, strange dreams began to haunt him, visions of a moon split in two, of gods wreathed in light and shadow. In those dreams, he saw himself standing between them, hands glowing with symbols he couldn't understand. He would wake up drenched in sweat, the same mark from the dream faintly shimmering on his palms before fading. What's happening to me? He would whisper to the darkness. One night, the dream was different. He was standing in a vast, endless space filled with light. A figure appeared before him, tall, robed, eyes calm and ancient. You are not just a vessel, the voice said. Naruto's breath caught. Who are you? The man smiled faintly. I am Hagoromo Otsutsuki. The world once called me the Sage of Six Paths. Naruto's eyes widened. The Sage of Six Paths. That's just a story. Stories, the sage replied, are often truths that time has forgotten. Naruto took a hesitant step forward. Why are you in my dream? Because the power that once shaped this world stirs again, within you. I don't understand. You will. In time. The sage raised his hand, and light surrounded Naruto. Remember this, child, the bond between light and darkness, between pain and hope. It will guide you when the world turns against you. The vision faded. Naruto woke with a gasp. His hands were glowing faintly. He looked down, heart pounding. The same marks as in his dream glimmered for a moment, then disappeared. What was that? He whispered. He didn't tell anyone. Not Iruka. Not the Hokage. Not even himself in the mirror. He just stared at his reflection and wondered why his eyes, for a split second, had shimmered with golden ripples. Days passed after that strange night, but Naruto could not shake the feeling that something inside him had changed. Sometimes, when he laughed too loudly or became angry, the air around him seemed to vibrate. Leaves lifted from the ground as if drawn to an invisible force. He told himself it was just his imagination. But deep inside, a tiny spark of fear and curiosity grew stronger. One afternoon, during ninjutsu practice, Iruka asked everyone to attempt the basic clone jutsu. The others created perfect copies of themselves. Naruto tried, and produced a single, pale, gasping shadow. The class laughed. Naruto forced a grin, but his hands were trembling. He felt something clawing behind the seal on his stomach, something ancient and restless. Why can't I do anything right? He thought. Why am I always the one who fails? That night he returned home, exhausted. He collapsed on the bed, staring at the cracked ceiling. I'll show them, he whispered. I'll show everyone that I'm not useless. He closed his eyes, but sleep did not come easily. When it did, the dreams returned. He stood in darkness, the air thick like water. A faint light glowed ahead. He walked toward it and saw a great gate, massive, rusted, bound by seals. From behind it, two crimson eyes stared at him. So, a deep voice rumbled, the little fool finally comes to me. Naruto stepped back. Who are you? The voice chuckled. You know who I am. You've heard the whispers. The monster sealed within you. The nine-tailed fox, Naruto whispered. Kurama's eyes narrowed. You carry my power, brat. And yet you can't even make a proper clone. Naruto clenched his fists. I didn't ask for this. The beast smirked. No, but you have it. Whether you like it or not, our fates are bound. He turned as if to leave, but Kurama's voice grew softer. Remember this, human. Power is not evil. It's the heart that decides what to do with it. Naruto looked back, confused. Why are you telling me this? Because something else is awakening inside you, Kurama replied. And even I fear it. Before Naruto could ask more, the darkness swallowed him. He woke up drenched in sweat. The room was silent except for the sound of his heartbeat. He stared at his hands, his skin faintly glowing again, just for an instant. What's happening to me? The next morning, Naruto went straight to the training grounds. The village was barely awake, mist curling through the trees. He stood before a wooden dummy, focused, breathing steadily. Okay, he muttered. No running away. No excuses. He tried the clone jutsu again. Nothing. He gritted his teeth. Come on. He felt the warmth rising inside him, spreading from his stomach through his arms. The ground cracked slightly under his feet. The dummy rattled. A burst of energy exploded outward, forming 3 perfect clones, solid, alive, and breathing. Naruto froze. I did it. But before he could celebrate, the clones' eyes changed, turning golden for a heartbeat, then vanished in a flash of light. He fell to his knees, panting. What was that power? That day, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, called Iruka to his office. You've noticed it too, haven't you? The old man said, looking out the window at the distant training field. Iruka nodded. Naruto's chakra is changing. It's not just the 9 tails, it feels older. Hiruzen sighed. There are things even I don't fully understand about that child. When Minato sealed the beast, something else may have awakened inside him. Something else? Iruka asked. The Hokage turned, his eyes weary. A light from the era of the Sage of Six Paths. A fragment of that power may have chosen him. Iruka looked shocked. The sage? But that's just legend. Hiruzen smiled faintly. So was the Nine Tails, once. Weeks passed. Naruto kept training alone, experimenting in secret. Each time he used chakra, he felt as if someone, or something, was guiding him. When he closed his eyes, he could see glowing lines inside his body, pathways of light. One evening, he sat at the edge of the Hokage monument, watching the sunset paint the village gold. He thought of all the times people had turned away from him. All the nights he'd eaten alone. But instead of sadness, he felt calm. I'll change it all, he thought. I'll prove that I belong here. Behind him, a soft voice spoke. You already do. Naruto turned. It was a woman, tall, graceful, with long red hair that shimmered in the light. He blinked, confused. Who are you? She smiled gently. You've grown so much, Naruto. He felt his throat tighten. Mom. The woman nodded. Only a fragment of me. A memory sealed within you. I'm proud of you, my son. Naruto's eyes filled with tears. I miss you. I don't even remember your face. Kushina stepped closer, touching his cheek. You have my heart, Naruto. Never doubt that. Her hand began to fade like mist. And you have your father's light. Wait, he shouted. Don't go. Her voice echoed softly. When the time comes, you'll see us again. Until then, keep moving forward. She disappeared. The mountain breeze carried her last words away, but Naruto felt something new in his chest, a warmth that would never leave. As months went by, whispers of change began to spread through the village. People noticed Naruto's growing strength. His chakra control improved faster than anyone expected. Even the Anbu who secretly watched him at night reported strange readings, spikes of divine energy that no sensor could explain. But Naruto himself didn't care about reports or power. He only cared about one thing: becoming someone the village could finally acknowledge. He trained harder than ever, failing, falling, and standing again every time. Each bruise reminded him of his promise to his parents, the promise he never knew he'd made. Yet destiny was not done with him. The night was colder than usual. A thin layer of mist wrapped around the forest as if nature itself wanted to hide the truth that was about to unfold. Naruto sat beside a dying fire, his eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. He didn't understand what had just happened: the surge of power, the voices in his head, the faint image of a man standing in the shadows of his mind. He pressed his hand against his chest. What was that feeling? It wasn't Kurama. It was something else. The warmth he usually felt when Kurama stirred inside him was gone, replaced by a deeper, more ancient chill. Hours passed, and Naruto's breathing finally steadied. He leaned against a tree, gazing up at the silver moon above him. Maybe I'm losing it, he muttered, but then, a flicker of chakra shimmered before his eyes. The ground beneath him pulsed faintly, glowing with strange red patterns. Suddenly, a deep, commanding voice echoed through his mind. Child of fire, descendant of light. Naruto froze. The voice wasn't Kurama's. It carried wisdom, pain, and something divine. Who's there? Naruto shouted, his eyes scanning the darkness. Show yourself. The wind began to stir violently, whipping leaves into the air. The forest itself seemed to breathe. And then, through the mist, appeared a figure, tall, robed in ancient armor, eyes glowing with golden fire. His chakra radiated like the sun itself. Naruto gasped. Who are you? The figure stepped closer, his expression calm yet filled with power. I am Asura Otsutsuki, the first child of Hagoromo, the sage of six paths. Naruto's breath caught in his throat. He had heard that name before, in legends told by Jiraiya and stories whispered among shinobi, the son of the sage, the one who carried the will of life. Asura, Naruto whispered. But, you're supposed to be dead. Asura's voice echoed softly. Death is not the end for those bound by chakra. You are my reincarnation, Naruto Uzumaki. My will flows through you, but something has changed. The balance of our lineage is collapsing. Naruto's heart pounded. What do you mean, collapsing? Asura's eyes darkened. The cycle of reincarnation has been broken. Indra's lineage, Sasuke's blood, has been tainted by something far beyond human understanding. A new force stirs within this world, one that even the gods fear. Naruto felt a chill crawl up his spine. You mean, someone even stronger than Kagaya? Asura nodded slowly. Stronger, and older. A shadow from before chakra was born. And now, it seeks to awaken through you. Naruto clenched his fists. No way. I won't let anyone control me again. Not Kurama, not destiny, not anyone. Asura's golden aura flared briefly, but his expression remained serene. That's why I came to you. You carry my soul, but this power, this darkness, it is not entirely yours. You must understand it before it consumes you. Naruto's voice trembled. Then teach me. Tell me what I need to do. Asura's eyes softened. You already know, Naruto. The answer is the same as it has always been: love, compassion, and the will to protect others. But this time, your light must burn brighter than ever, because what's coming is not just war, it's the rebirth of creation itself. Before Naruto could respond, the golden figure began to fade. Wait, Naruto shouted. Don't go. I still don't understand. But Asura's final words echoed faintly through the darkness. Seek the temple buried beneath the roots of the world tree, before the shadow finds you first. And then, silence. The mist vanished. The night became still. Naruto stared at his trembling hands. His chakra still glowed faintly golden. He didn't know where this temple was, or what kind of shadow Asura meant. But deep down, something told him this was only the beginning. He stood up, clutching his chest, determination igniting in his heart once again. All right then, he whispered, staring into the horizon. If there's a truth out there waiting for me, I'll find it. Believe it. The wind carried his words into the forest, and somewhere far away, beneath the earth, something ancient stirred in response. The morning sun rose slowly over the hidden leaf village, painting the rooftops in hues of gold and orange. Birds sang above, but to Naruto, the world felt strangely heavy, as if the air itself carried secrets waiting to be uncovered. He walked through the village streets, blending with the crowd, yet his mind drifted far beyond. The words of Asura echoed endlessly in his head: seek the temple buried beneath the roots of the world tree. But what did that even mean? There was no such tree in the hidden leaf, at least not that anyone knew of. Naruto stopped near the Hokage rock, gazing up at the stone faces carved into the mountain. His own face smiled back at him, the seventh Hokage. Protector of the village. The man who achieved peace after a century of war. Yet deep inside, he felt like that peace was cracking. Yo, Naruto. A familiar voice called from behind. Naruto turned, a faint smile returning to his lips. Sasuke. The Uchiha walked toward him, cloak fluttering in the wind, his Rinnegan eye gleaming faintly under the sun. You've been missing since last night. Sakura said you were training again in the forest. What's going on? Naruto hesitated. He wanted to tell Sasuke everything: the voice, Asura, the temple, the shadow. But something inside him whispered not yet. I just needed some air, Naruto said casually, scratching his head. You know, the usual Hokage stress. Sasuke studied him carefully. You're lying. I can feel your chakra is different. Naruto sighed. TCH. You never change, do you? Always reading me like a book. But Sasuke didn't smile. It's not just you. The balance of the world's chakra is shifting. I can feel disturbances from beyond the nations, near the borders of the Land of Silence. Naruto's eyes widened. The Land of Silence? That's supposed to be abandoned. Not anymore, Sasuke said, his tone grave. I sensed something there. Something ancient, and it felt like it was calling your name. Naruto froze. His heart skipped a beat. Calling my name. He remembered Asura's words, before the shadow finds you first. All right, Naruto said, his expression turning serious. I'm going. Sasuke frowned. You don't even know what you're walking into. Doesn't matter. If this thing is connected to me, or to Asura, I can't just sit here. Sasuke sighed quietly. Then I'm coming with you. Naruto blinked. Huh, I thought you were busy protecting the outer lands. I am, Sasuke replied. And that's exactly why I need to see what's happening. Whatever's stirring out there, it's not just your problem. Naruto smiled faintly. Hey, guess we're still a team, huh? Sasuke's lips curved just a little. Don't get sentimental. They both turned toward the open road beyond the village walls. The morning wind brushed past them like an invitation to destiny. By midday, they were deep within the forest trails leading to the Land of Silence, a desolate region long forgotten after the wars. The trees there grew twisted and dark, their roots spreading like veins across the ground. Naruto slowed his steps. This place, it feels alive. Sasuke nodded. It's saturated with chakra, but not human. It's something older. The deeper they went, the stronger the energy became, a hum that vibrated beneath their skin. Naruto's heartbeat synced with it unconsciously, as if his very soul resonated with the rhythm of the earth. Suddenly, the path opened into a massive clearing, and in the center stood a colossal stump, wide as a mountain, with roots stretching endlessly in all directions. Naruto's eyes widened in awe. That can't be. Sasuke stepped forward, scanning it carefully with his Rinnegan. It's not a normal tree. It's a fragment of the God tree. One of its roots must have survived since Kagaya's time. Naruto's body trembled slightly. He could feel it, a pulse, deep beneath the ground, calling to him. Without warning, his feet moved on their own, carrying him closer to the root. Wait, Sasuke called out. Something's not right. But it was too late. Naruto placed his hand on the ancient bark, and instantly, the world shifted. The air vanished. Light collapsed. Everything turned white. Naruto gasped as he felt himself falling, not physically, but spiritually, through an endless void of swirling chakra. Images flashed before him, wars, gods, and faces he didn't recognize. Voices screamed his name. Then, in the distance, he saw it, an enormous gate made of black stone, engraved with the symbols of the Otsutsuki clan. And behind that gate, a presence unlike anything he had ever felt before. Naruto's eyes snapped open. He was no longer in the forest. He stood in a vast underground chamber illuminated by streams of golden light. In front of him lay the same black gate from his vision, towering, silent, and waiting. Sasuke's voice echoed faintly behind him. Naruto, where are we? Naruto stared at the gate, his pulse racing. I think, we just found the temple. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The silence of the underground chamber pressed against their ears, a silence so complete it felt alive. Naruto stepped forward slowly, his sandals scraping the stone floor. The black gate loomed above them like the entrance to another world. Look at these markings, Sasuke murmured, tracing a hand along the engravings. They're written in the ancient Otsutsuki script. Some of them resemble sealing formulas, but others, I've never seen before. Naruto tilted his head. You can read them. Not all, Sasuke replied. His Sharingan flickered. But the ones I can read, talk about a being called Tenrai. Naruto frowned. Tenrai. Never heard that name. Sasuke narrowed his eye. It means, Divine One, but in this context, it might refer to something that even predates Kagaya. Naruto felt a shiver crawl up his spine. Older than Kagaya. That's even possible. Sasuke turned to him. Kagaya wasn't the origin of chakra, Naruto. She was just the first human who consumed it. What if there was something, or someone, who created chakra itself? Naruto stared at the gate, the pieces slowly clicking in his mind. Asura said there was a shadow older than gods. Sasuke nodded. Then maybe this Tenrai is that shadow. The moment he spoke, the air grew heavier. The engravings on the gate began to pulse faintly, glowing with a dark crimson light. Naruto stepped back instinctively. Hey, did you do that? Sasuke shook his head. No, you did. Huh. Your chakra, Sasuke said quietly. The gate is responding to your chakra. Naruto looked down. His hands were glowing faintly, golden light leaking from his skin. He tried to suppress it, but the energy only grew stronger. The symbols on the gate began to spin slowly, rearranging themselves like a living puzzle. Sasuke drew his sword. Naruto. Stop. It's unlocking. I'm not doing anything. Naruto shouted. It's acting on its own. A deep rumble filled the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling as the massive gate began to split open. A blinding light spilled from the cracks, forcing both of them to shield their eyes. When the light faded, the gate stood ajar, a narrow opening leading into total darkness. A faint hum echoed from within, like a heartbeat. Naruto swallowed hard. Well, we didn't come all this way to turn back. Sasuke sighed. You really never change. Together, they stepped through the gate. Inside was a vast corridor that seemed endless. The walls shimmered faintly, made of smooth stone infused with chakra veins that pulsed like living arteries. Strange murals covered every surface, depicting gods, beasts, and humans kneeling before a single radiant figure whose face was erased by time. Naruto stopped to look at one of the murals. This one, it looks like the Sage of Six Paths. Sasuke shook his head. No, that's someone else. Look, the Rinnegan has 10 rings instead of 6. Naruto blinked. 10 rings? Is that even possible? Maybe once, Sasuke said quietly. But not anymore. They continued deeper, the air growing colder with every step. The hum grew louder, reverberating through their bones. Finally, the corridor opened into a massive circular chamber. At its center stood a pedestal, and on it, floating weightlessly, was a black sphere surrounded by faint streams of white light. Naruto felt it immediately, an overwhelming surge of energy, both pure and terrifying. It wasn't like Kurama's chakra. It wasn't like the sage's power. It was older, wilder, eternal. Sasuke's voice was low. This is chakra in its original form. Unfiltered. The essence before it was divided into yin and yang. Naruto approached slowly. So this is the root of everything. Before Sasuke could answer, the sphere pulsed once, and in an instant, Naruto's mind was flooded with visions. He saw worlds collapsing in fire, oceans boiling, stars dying. He saw beings of light and shadow warring across galaxies. He saw a single entity standing above them all, formless, infinite, with eyes that contained every pattern known to creation. And then it spoke. So, the vessel of Asura has come. Naruto gasped, clutching his head. The voice wasn't outside, It was inside his soul. Who are you? He shouted. The voice answered slowly, each word echoing like thunder across eternity. I am Tenrai, the origin. The first spark. The one your gods forgot. Naruto fell to his knees as waves of energy crashed through him. Sasuke grabbed his shoulder, trying to pull him back, but even his chakra began to distort. Get out of his head. Sasuke roared, activating his Rinnegan, but the moment he did, his vision filled with endless eyes staring back at him. Tenrai's laughter echoed in both their minds. So the blood of Indra stands beside the child of Asura, again. How quaint. Your cycle of rebirth amuses me, but it ends now. The entire chamber began to shake violently. The sphere rose higher, tendrils of light and darkness spiraling out like living snakes. Naruto's eyes flared golden as he struggled to fight the power invading his mind. I won't let you control me, he screamed. Tenrai's voice softened, almost like a whisper. I do not seek control, boy. I seek restoration. Through you, my essence will be whole again. A surge of black light erupted, throwing both Naruto and Sasuke across the room. The walls cracked, ancient stone collapsing around them. When the light finally dimmed, Naruto lay motionless, surrounded by faint golden flames. The black sphere had vanished, absorbed into his body. Sasuke crawled toward him, panting. Naruto, hey, wake up. Naruto's eyes opened slowly. They glowed, not blue, not red, but a deep, burning gold threaded with black patterns. He whispered faintly, his voice layered with another tone. I can hear him, inside me. Sasuke's expression darkened. Naruto, what did you do? Naruto looked down at his trembling hands. I didn't, it chose me. The earth rumbled again. From far above, a crack opened in the ceiling, revealing a glimpse of the sky, and for the first time in centuries, the world felt a new kind of chakra stirring in its core. Naruto stood slowly, his aura flickering between light and shadow. Whatever Tenrai was, it wasn't gone. It was part of him now. And the world, whether ready or not, would soon face the rebirth of the power that created chakra itself.